Rams found their defensive star. Some key takeaways from the massive win over the Seahawks this week, as well as one key defensive adjustment that changed the entire Rams game plan for yesterday's win. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 5K, 5,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of the journey, make sure to hit that sub button and click the notification bell. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content pieces covering all things Rams so you do not miss a beat this 2025 NFL regular season. Leave a like on this video as well right now for the Rams getting the massive win over the Seahawks 21-19 yesterday, taking the lead in the NFC West and having a legitimate shot to get the number one overall seed in the conference. And thank you to everybody who tuned into our stream yesterday. We have over 4,000 total viewers now on that stream. It's our best performing stream of the season so far and of this channel's history. So thank you all very much. I saw a lot of new people in chat. Obviously, we appreciate everybody. So make sure to stay tuned for this coming Sunday at around 5:10 p.m. Pacific time for the Sunday night football game against another NFC contender, the Buccaneers. Thank you all for joining the stream. Leave a like if you were in the stream, and remember to subscribe. We're on the road to 5K, and we hope to hit it by the end of the year. We think we can do it just under 300 away from 5K. But now to our main story of the day, which is some key takeaways from this Rams victory with a new defensive star on this Rams team. And this is from Ramblin' Fan. Nope, sorry, Turf Show Times, which we will be getting into right now. And obviously it's Kam Kinchens and the secondary coming up big. Coming into the game, there were a lot of questions about how the Rams secondary would hold up against the Seahawks and their passing offense. The Seahawks have the most explosive offense in the NFL, and Jackson Smith-Njigba was having a record-setting season. What tended to get lost was just how good this Rams secondary has been. While they don't have the name recognition at corner, the way Shula schemes in the secondary makes it very difficult for most teams. The Rams live in a world in which they are going to take away the explosive play and make opposing offenses stress and methodically work their way down the field. Yeah, which is kind of what happened. I mean, the Seahawks did have over 400 total yards of offense, but only 19 points to show for it, which again, the Rams have one of the best red zone defenses in football, which showed it big. And obviously, Kam Kinchens, with 2 of the 4 interceptions that Sam Darnold had yesterday. Kam Kinchens with 2 of them, Lance Shark, Kobe Durant with 1, and Darius Williams getting another one. Emmanuel Forbes, really the only secondary starter to not really get an interception who played in the whole game. So, still, Kam Kinchens, new defensive start. He has a knack for the ball. It seems like he recovered the fumble last week against the Saints, and he's always been that guy. Well, I should say 2 weeks ago now against the Saints, but he's always had a knack for the ball, just like how he was in college at Miami. I loved when they picked him in the 3rd round a couple years ago, and he's been awesome for this team. And he's another guy, again, he's a bit smaller, so it's a bit tougher to move him around because of his size, but he's been awesome so far this year, especially these last few weeks, and he's the MVP. Give him the game ball for yesterday's win over the Seattle Seahawks. And the Rams secondary won the game against the Seahawks. Kam Kinchens intercepted Sam Darnold twice, while Kobe Durant and Darius Williams had a turnover as well. Durant's interception was a near carbon copy of the one against Darnold in the playoffs. For an offense that lived off of big plays, Darnold was just 3 of 12 on passes of more than 10 air yards or more. Emmanuel Forbes had an incredible pass breakup to save a touchdown. The secondary also held up at the end of the game to force a long field goal. This may not be a flashy group, but they produce. Yes, they do, 100%. Again, Roger McCreary just added some extra depth. I do want to see him get out on the field because he is good enough to play, and you traded for him, so I don't really know why we're not playing him at all. You should be a bit more acclimated to the defense by now. You're getting into week, I believe it's going to be 4 now with the team, so you should really know the entire playbook by this point, being an NFL player. But hopefully, I haven't heard about him being injured, but we have to see. Yeah, Emmanuel Forbes, I remember that play, huge play. Game-saving play there by Emmanuel Forbes forces Seahawks to settle for a field goal. But by the way, I do want to just say that JSN's stats, he was still pretty effective in this game. JSN still had 9 catches for 105 yards. It's JSN. And he's still on pace for that record-setting season. He has 1,146 yards. He is still on pace for now to be at around that 2,000 mark. He is on pace to break Calvin Johnson's record in 17 games. Yes, I know it's not 16, but even if he does it in 17, like Kupp was around 15 yards short of, that would be pretty crazy. So JSN was still able to get his, but you didn't really let anyone else beat you. The running game for the Seahawks did get better. The run defense is actually not as good as I thought it would be in this one. If we're looking at the Seahawks average yards per carry from the game as well, the secondary didn't really do as good of a job getting up front and tackling there. I have the stats pulled up right here. They did average 3.9 yards per game, which is more than what they average on the season, but still able to hold them to not the best performance, but not what we've necessarily seen from the Rams the last couple weeks. But overall, secondary great. Kam Kinchens, new star. He's a guy who forces turnovers, picks up, recovers fumbles, and he knows how to return them too. He always gets some decent returns on every interception / turnover recovery that he has. So definitely a key guy for this defense. And in my opinion, a star and a guy that I want to see play more and more as this season goes on. And the Rams rattled Sam Darnold. For the majority of the past 2 seasons, Sam Darnold has played well. Even in the Week 8 game last year against the Rams, Darnold was fine in that game. However, in the playoffs, Darnold was sacked 9 times by the Rams defense in a loss. After throwing 6 interceptions all season, Darnold threw 4 against the Rams on Sunday. While the statement itself might not be completely true, there will be a narrative that the Seahawks were the better team, but the Rams have the better quarterback. The point is worth taking away from that. The point that is worth taking away from that statement is when the game is on the line, the Rams can trust Matthew Stafford not to lose the game. While each game is its own entity, it's going to be difficult for Darnold to play the Rams and not have the playoff game or this performance on his mind. Yeah, maybe he'll start seeing some ghosts again. Yeah, they did. They didn't have a sack or a tackle for loss throughout the entire game, but they did have 3 quarterback hits, and they did dial up good pressure in terms of hurrying Sam Darnold up, which is why he did a jump pass, which led to one of the interceptions. And Sam Darnold had a dream and thought it was Lamar Jackson and was able to pull that off, but unfortunately, you were not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. He's probably the only quarterback, one of the only quarterbacks ever who can pull off that pass. So, yeah, just a really ill-advised play by Darnold. I don't know if he's going full pumpkin mode again. I'm not going to spend too much time here on Sam Darnold. I know he's an Orange County kid, so I do have a lot of respect for him. You know, I've been following him even back when he was in high school, so I normally wish him nothing but the best, but yeah, big games, man. We saw it at the end of last year, didn't necessarily play the best, and I hope that we don't see it again this year because I want that Rams-Seahawks game in December to mean a lot as well. That could be for the division right there, and I hope it is, so that both teams are bringing their best effort as they should. So, yeah, Sam Darnold definitely rattled. They did get 3 quarterback hits. Obviously, one of them forced an almost fumble that I believe they ended up calling in an incomplete pass there. But, yeah, the Rams front 7 was definitely better, but still not really finishing in the backfield as much as you would like. And as I just said, the Rams pass rush near non-existent. This isn't to say the Rams pass rush didn't make plays. Pressure got to Darnold multiple times in the red zone, forcing throwaways, which resulted in field goals instead of touchdowns. 3 of Darnold's 4 interceptions were also created by pressure. On Darnold's first interception, Tyler Davis pushes the center into his lap. Durant's interception is a result of Byron Young coming around in space on a twist. The 4th interception was created by pressure from Kobe Turner and Kam Kinchens coming on a blitz. Again, Kam Kinchens, another good safety as well at bringing pressure, as is Jalen McCullough, both of those guys. Jalen McCullough not really uses much this game. Also like to see that more. But yeah, I do agree with this. The pass rush made their presence felt on Sam Darnold, but they didn't really show where this great offensive line. Byron Young, 9 sacks on the year, 9.5 sacks. A lot of those were in the first 4 weeks of the season where Byron Young, I made a video about him being Defensive Player of the Year, and I had a real case at that point in the season. But right now, no. Brian Burns, Myles Garrett, guys like that, really taking over that award race right now. So, not necessarily in it for the awards, but still I would like to see Byron Young. Kobe Turner was playing a little bit injured today with a back injury. Or yesterday, I should say, with a back injury. But Brandon Fisk, not much. Jared Verse is a pretty good run defender, and he did get into the pocket for one of those interception throws, and he forced a couple throwaways. But besides that, another quiet game from him as well. At the same time, the Rams were up multiple scores early in this game and forced the Seahawks to become a drop-back team. They only created a pressure rate of 28.9%. On the final drive, that's a situation that should favor a pass rush like the Rams. There is no threat to run the ball. The defense needs to be able to put the game away against a team playing a backup center and left guard. This is a group that's been in a slump as of late and need to find a way out of it. Excuse me there. Yeah, I agree. The Saints pass rush wasn't good. They couldn't sack Mac Jones a couple weeks ago against the Niners. Mac Jones is doing spin moves out there in the pocket. You know you're a little bit down bad when Mac Jones is doing spin moves in the pocket. It's a lot of aura loss right there for anyone on that defensive line. So definitely not great for this Rams team. I do see them coming around. You do have the Bucs. The Bucs O-line is a little injured. I know it's healthier than it was a few weeks ago, but it is still a bit injured to my knowledge. Well, obviously, we'll have more on that game as this week goes on. But definitely going to be key for this Rams team. If they want to win a Super Bowl, this pass rush needs to play like it was throughout the first quarter of the season and a little more than that as well. And McVay adjusted off of 13 personnel. It became pretty evident early in the game that the Rams were not going to have as much success in 13 personnel against the Seahawks as they had in previous games. One of the big points coming into the game was how the Seahawks would match the Rams in 13 personnel. The Seahawks matched in nickel, and outside of the first big run to Kyren Williams, had success doing that. This was a defense that made it very difficult for Rams tight ends to win their blocking matchups, especially in the running game. Yeah, they did. Higbee not as good blocking, Parkinson wasn't as good, Davis Allen and Terrence Ferguson were pretty much non-existent out there on the field. I know Stafford went to Davis Allen a couple of times, but missed him. And Terrence Ferguson, not involved in the game plan at all. Josh and I talked about it on stream. Why not? I guess this is why, but I would have liked to at least see him get a target still because he's been so good the last few weeks. But again, game plan calls for it. It ended up being the right move, as you'll see by the stats to back this up right now. Against the Seahawks, the Rams went to 13 personnel just 36% of the time and averaged 2.7 yards per play. In 11 personnel, the Rams averaged 6.3 yards per play. The 13 personnel twist that the Rams have made their identity simply didn't work against this defense. McVay did the right thing and adjusted off of it. While the offense didn't have a great performance, it did just enough. Yeah, I do think part of it too is they hadn't played in 11 personnel for that long in a game, so that was also part of the rust. But also the time of possession that Josh kept talking about was really key. Seattle dominated the time of possession. That was the one thing they did really well, but it just wasn't enough as Darnold was not efficient enough at all, and the Rams got up too big a little bit too early. But I do think it was the right move for the game plan, but I just hope that this isn't a thing for the rest of the season. They can't get back to 13 personnel because this Bucs defense is not as good as Seattle. I do think you're going to see more of a split with a 13 personnel and 11, closer to 50-50, but I also think they need to figure out ways to adjust to 13 personnel. The Eagles have found multiple ways to run the tush push somehow, which hopefully banned soon, but the Rams do need to figure out a way to keep on using 13 personnel a little bit more than they did in this game. And the Rams can win in multiple ways. It's easy to look at this game and see the Rams had 4 turnovers and only won by 2 points. At the same time, Matthew Stafford had a forgettable performance as well. It was the first time in his career that he's completed less than 55% of his passes and thrown for fewer than 150 yards and 5 yards per attempt in his career. Puka Nacua has 1 fumble in 3 seasons. These are 2 very evenly matched teams, and the Rams were better on Sunday. The Rams led the entire game, and their win percentage never dropped under 58.1. Again, the win percentage point not necessarily key for me. The Puka fumble's a one-time thing. Not concerned about it. I don't see it affecting the Rams at all for the rest of the season. Stafford, again, I still think he's in the MVP race. It wasn't a great game, but it wasn't this awful 6-turnover Daniel Jones style game. He won the game. He passed for 2 touchdowns, so he helped put points on the board for his team as well. Not a great game, but again, it was going to happen at some point that Matthew Stafford didn't have 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in a game, and you're playing against one of the best teams in the league with the top 5 defense. So, again, not concerned whatsoever, but this did show that the Rams can win in multiple ways for sure. And the Rams showed they can win in multiple ways. If the offense needs to score 30 points, they're capable. However, if the defense needs to carry the load, they're capable. The Rams won this game because the defense created opportunities for the offense and got stops when needed. Ironically, a special teams play had a big impact as well. An incredible punt from Ethan Evans pinned the Seahawks at the 1-yard line, also played a critical role. That may have been one of the better punts of all time. Yeah, it was. This may have been an ugly win, but there are no style points in the NFL. The fact that the Rams were able to win this game in this fashion shows how complete of a team they are. Yeah, that's very true. This was a good team win overall. I like the video for that as well. It shows just how important teamwork is. And make sure to leave in the comments down below your biggest takeaway from the game as well. The running back rotation as well was a bit questionable. Josh and I talked about that on stream. Leave it down below in the comments. I do think Kam Kinchens was the star of the game and the main takeaway. But I want to know what you have to say in the comments, so make sure to leave one down below. And now, to a key defensive adjustment Shula made to help the Rams overall. And this story is from Rams Wire, which we will be getting into right now. LA Rams D coordinator Shula was in his bag against the Seahawks for Week 11. His squad forced 4 Sam Darnold interceptions and 4 field goals and just 1 touchdown in the win. Sorry about the typo there. While the defense itself is impressive, the defensive adjustments by Shula helped create chaos for the Seattle offense. According to the Athletics' Mike Sando, the Rams were one of 2 Seahawks opponents to play 5 defensive backs more times than they played 2 when Seattle was in 21 personnel, 2 tight ends, and 1 running back. This meant Shula had more defensive backs prepared to cover Darnold passes while the defensive front penetrated and pressured the Seahawks D-line. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Yeah, the Seahawks a lot of times with the 2 tight ends, 1 running back, because they're not a big running team. The run game hasn't been as good, so you got to prepare for that. And Chris Shula did a great job, obviously forcing 4 interceptions. This was an amazing adjustment from him overall. And the result, some of the most impactful plays in the entire game. Per Sando, 2 Rams plays where they played nickel defense versus the Seahawks 12 personnel generated the biggest expected points added EPA swings in the game. The first was safety Kam Kinchens' interception in the first quarter, which generated a plus 7.2 EPA for LA. The second was Kitchens' third quarter interception, which generated a plus 5.5 EPA for LA, basically meaning the Rams would add on that set amount of points, 7.2, 5.5. But yeah, I agree. Chris Shula, one of the better D coordinators in the league. He's been a head coaching rumored name for a couple of teams, and this game right here is definitely going to add on to that as well. And again, was the right adjustment. The Rams coaching staff, especially on the defensive side, did a great job calling plays until the last drive. The last drive I didn't like, but the rest of the game, they were pretty elite defensively as a whole. And while the offense didn't look awful, the defense consistently set up the Rams with scoring opportunities. Kitchens' first pick set up the offense at the Seattle 3-yard line, which set up the Rams' first touchdown 4 plays later. Similarly, the third quarter interception by Kitchens led to another touchdown 4 plays later. Both drives started in Seahawks territory because of the turnovers. This is where the age-old adage of defense wins championships comes into play. In a game where the offense was struggling against an equally good opposing defense, the Rams' own defense put them into better positions to score and win the game. And a lot of that success came thanks to Shula's defensive adjustments in the secondary. Oh, I fully agree. Chris Shula also should get a game ball for this game because he really dialed up a great game plan that really confused Sam Darnold. And it seems like Chris Shula is the Sam Darnold destroyer. He's been the best D coordinator against Darnold since Darnold's played much better this last season and a half. So definitely an interesting little point there that I wouldn't. Maybe the Seahawks even try to poach him to get him away from Sam Darnold. To having to face him, you never know. But overall, great adjustment by playing 5 defensive backs when the Seahawks were in 12 personnel. And comment that down below what you think about that as well, because I think that was another key reason why the Rams won this game. And now, real quick, we got to go into 2 injury updates. The first being to ever important, kind of jackknife defender, kind of does everything out there. And Quentin Lake has an elbow injury and is getting an MRI right now. And we have Adam Grossman's tweet right here to give us some more info. Sean McVay doesn't have a full update on Rams safety / nickel Quentin Lake, but says it might be a bit of time for him. Definitely also not a good omen when McVay mentions Dr. Neil Trash, I hope I said that right, as being part of the conversation around Quentin Lake's injury, but McVay declined to say whether or not this would be a season-ending injury. And yeah, that's not good. Dr. Neil is one of the top sports surgeons in the entire world, not just the U.S., and he does a lot of major surgeries. And yeah, it's never good when you hear his name with an injury. Grossman, by the way, is a beat writer for the OC Register who covers the Rams. But yes, definitely concerning for Quentin Lake. We're going to see what those MRI results are. If that's tomorrow, Josh will have that for you. And also, tight end Tyler Higbee also injured his knee in that game as well. Missed a little bit of it. No update on him just yet. We have to see how serious that is. Obviously, we'll have that for you as well as this week goes on. So make sure to stay tuned for updates there. And comment down below your thoughts on this and what this means for the Rams. If Quentin Lake is out and has to be put on IR, that means he'd miss yet. But most likely the Lions game and the Seahawks game, and obviously the game this week against the Bucks. 3 other NFC contender games for them, which would be a massive loss. And Higbee, we have to wait and see. But comment down below what you think. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We're in the road to 5K, 5,000 subscribers. If you want to be a part of that journey, hit that sub button. Click that notification bell. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content pieces covering all things Rams so you don't miss a beat this NFL regular season. Trying to hit 5K by the end of the year. Make sure to leave a like on this video right now as well for the Rams improving to 8-2 in first place in the NFC West with a 21-19 victory over their division rival Seattle Seahawks. Comment down below your thoughts on your biggest takeaway from the game, minus Kam Kinchens is becoming a star, and your thoughts on the defensive adjustments. I thought they were great with playing 5 defensive backs, and your thoughts on the Quentin Lake and Tyler Higbee injuries. Definitely concerning that we will have to deal with that, and we will keep you updated on all of those as well. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one. Stay safe from the rain if you're in the greater LA area, and have a great rest of your day.